Greetings and welcome to the Rock and Roll podcast. Check out this record. My name is Mark, and with us as always is a man the goth wave passed right the fudge over. It's Frankie D.
That's right, Mark. Yo, Dracula ain't got clove cigarettes on me, my friend.
Welcome back to this show, friends. Remember, you don't have to smoke cloves to be goth anymore. Plus, you can check out this record on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, wherever else you may find the finest of podcasts. Heck, Frank, we're even on YouTube.
That's right, Mark. You know, new episodes, they drop directly to your goth ears every Friday. And of course, I'm covered in all this fake blood, everyone, for your listening pleasures.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, you know exactly how much fake blood Frank's covered in. Here on Check Out This Record, Frank and I, we take each record down to the basement and beat it within an inch of our lives. What? While we're down there, we also indulge in a wide array of musical discussions, like in our Spotlight series, where we'll dig into a band's catalog, like a couple of grave robbers, and see what's buried in there. Is it Peter Steele's much sought after mummified dong, or a treasure trove of goth metal previously unknown to, well, to me and Frank?
Or, you know, Mark, in our verse series, we pit two albums against each other and they duke it out. And maybe I'll do Peter Steele right here. Total stereo domination.
Not quite Transylvanian enough.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Now, if social media is your thing and the Dark Lord knows that it is, be sure to check us out on Instagram. We have a Facebook group as well, where we like to drop additional content because sweet dreams are made of cheese.
Love it. And don't forget to pop over to the world famous Tube of the U and watch us as we make these ridiculous faces as we try to put this show together. And who knows, maybe some exclusive content's coming. We always say that. You definitely don't want to miss it. So be sure to fire off a click on that old subscribe button.
Okay. Frank, I've been in love with goth babes, specifically since high school. The wild outfits, the clothes, the bitchy attitudes. I was into all of it, you know, but the music.
Oh no, man! What did you do?
Well, I just kept listening to like decent music like punk and metal. Duh. But over the years, I've discovered that. Ooh, I got a burp. But there was so much more to the genre than obsessing over Trent Reznor or Tori Amos, you know, cliche industrial bands covered in glow-in-the-dark body paint and poorly played synthesizers. It turns out there's more. Don't get me wrong. All that stuff was definitely part of the 90s goth aesthetic.
It was.
It probably wasn't as bad as I remember it, but maybe it was. Of late, I've discovered a great deal of post-punk bands and metal bands, all citing different bands inspired from the goth genre. So I've been spending a little bit more time kind of trying to dig in and find what's interesting and what's inspiring these bands that I do like. A lot of people brought up bands like Suji and the Banshees, Joy Division, which is still a hard one for me to swallow.
Me too.
Bauhaus, and of course The Cure. So listen, I did what any dude who's been in love with goth babes would do. Is I reached out to my goth babe friends and I was hey, what should I be listening to when it comes to the metal side of goth music? And the conversation would always end up on Typo Negative. So I figured that seems like a decent enough place to start. And amongst the different conversations, the consensus was that you and I should start with October Rust. And that's why I picked it, as an entry point for you and I to explore the sounds of goth metal. Frank, I told you this wasn't metal we listened to when I presented it to you in the last episode. Was that a fair statement?
Oh yes, my friend. This is like metal with trimmings of goth and hints of doom. So I definitely, you set me up perfectly for that one.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No,
here's
okay.
a brief background on the band and October Rust before we light the candles and get down into the dungeon.
Yeah.
So the band is made up of Peter Steele on
not a porn star.
Not a porn star. Well, actually, he was in Playgirl.
Yeah.
So Peter Steele on lead vocals and bass guitar, Kenny Hickey on backing vocals, acoustic guitar, and electric guitar. Josh Silver on backing vocals, keyboards, synthesizers, sound effects, and Frank, this is important.
Yep.
Drum programming.
Ooh.
Now on the album, Johnny Kelly is credited with drums and percussion, his first album with the band. However, he was credited for playing those, but did not actually play on the album.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you why. I wasn't there. The American goth metal band was formed in Brooklyn, New York, way back in 1989 by Steele Hickley Silver and a gentleman by the name of Sal Abarascato. I probably said that wrong and I don't really care, who would be replaced first by a drum machine and then later by Johnny Kelly. Peter Steele was known for his lyrics that focused on themes of romance, depression, and death, resulting in the band gaining the moniker of the Drab Four, a play on the Beatles' Fab Four nickname.
Oh man!
Though none of the people I talked to about the band actually used that phrase. It was on the internet, so I guess somebody's used it once, right?
I assume so.
I reached back out and I went, "Oh, I heard this phrase," and they were like, "What are you talking about?" So, anyways, the band had a platinum-selling album in 1993's Bloody Kiss, which is actually the second runner-up for the albums we should have listened to or could have listened to. And the album we're talking about tonight, October Rust, went gold, believe it or not, Frank.
Wow.
Typo Negative would release 7 albums, 2 best-of compilations, and a handful of concert DVDs before the unfortunate passing of Peter Steele on April 14th of 2010. And the band decided to dissolve. Drummer Johnny Kelly said, quote, "Even if there is somebody who could take his place, it wouldn't matter. We don't have any interest in continuing. It's impossible. It hasn't even come up in any kind of discussion." I mean, it feels like it was probably the discussion that he's having this quote for. Anyways, when Pete died, Typo Negative died with him. End quote. It is worth noting the drum machine was not available for question. Frank, let's get those cloaks on and dive down in the darkness, shall we?
Oh, let's goth rock and roll, my friend. All
right. Let's start with first impressions and the cover of the album. 4 very thorny stems of flowers. I would assume there are roses, but you know, there's got to be thorns on other flowers too, right? With Typo Negative turning the corner of the top right, and then October Rust kind of down in the bottom left, kind of catty corner or whatever that's, you know, when mirroring. Yeah.
Right.
What'd you think, Frank? Give it to me, Frankula.
Yeah. Walking into this, you know, as again, a metal album, excuse me, with like a sprinkle of goth, I was surprised to find so many ballads on this record. You know, with the title of Rust, I was striking a correlation of what rusts metal rusting, therefore heavy metal, from my prior research. And so many of their tunes were just soaked in like sex, which made sense as Steele was a sexual icon of sorts to many women. Now, I expected songs more along the lines of "I Know You're Bleeping Somebody Else" from previous records. But once I opened the Xmas Present, it was ballads and a Neil Young cover.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So track 1 and 2, Bad Ground, which refers to the ground wire and a speaker cable, and No Title, referring to the fact that it's not really a fucking track.
Right.
So these first 2 were a joke on behalf of the band. It happened on the actual release. If you're listening now on Spotify, they only have the the remastered version. Holy shit, brain. Anyways, the idea was that it's on both of them. The idea was that it would sound like your speaker connection was loose, and make the listener, you know, go fuck with their speaker before they actually started listening to the album. Then the band comes in, you know, and having a good laugh and introduces themselves and says,
"Hey, yo.
Yeah, oh, hey, paisano." Yeah, thanks for picking up the album. An odd choice, but yeah, okay. Frank, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's 96, so I could see where tracks like this could fit in as a segue into an actual album. I mean, listen, it's okay. It doesn't add anything to the overall product or presentation. So
no, nothing.
Yeah.
So track 3, Love You to Death.
Oh, thanks, Marc.
In her place, 100 candles burning. as salty sweet drips from her breasts. Her hips move and I can feel what they're saying. Swaying. They say the beast inside of me is gonna getcha. Get. Oh yeah. Frank, let's focus. Let's forget those first two tracks. This is what has defined the subgenre, right? It's got these chugging guitars, dramatic lyrics. I mean, the chorus to this is "Let me love you to death," right? Hypnotic, kind of cool synth part, and a steady robotic drum that fills in the soundscape actually kind of perfectly. Like the robotic nature of it really kind of works for it. I think I like this so far. What'd you think?
So listen, very hypnotized and mesmerized by this like brooding Danzig of a baritone voice over these chunky guitars. Steele's voice is very confident, and the conviction in which he sings the song really proves the passion for what they were trying to create.
It really sells it.
Right, really sells it. And even watching interviews and stuff, you could tell like they sought out to do this. Like this is the intent right here. It's ambitious for sure. I could imagine myself if I was watching this live, I could find myself eventually getting bored.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Track 4, Be My Druidess. Peter Steele doing a lot of heavy lifting on the bass here, with, dare I say, kind of a sexy bass riff. You can hear the drama of the genre in this song, the moodiness, the obsessive nature, the fact that he sounds like a Transylvania Barry White. Frank, I'd do anything to make you be my druidess. 2 actual tracks in, will you be said druidess?
I was born to be your druidess, brother. So you know that. You know that. Listen, I'm surprised how thus far how barren these tracks feel and unreliant on the guitar. Like it's really amazing to me. There's a space feeling to the song that allows you to drift into the place of uncertainty, which I totally appreciate. The ending for me, though, with Steele's voice, which is like in the basement of the baritone world, that's personally just not for me. I find that very corny and unnecessary. I actually think the song would have benefited if that part wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Track 5, Green Man. Turns out this song isn't about smoking weed. Weird, right? We get lots of imagery of the sun here, and I felt like the band did a good job of expressing those lyrics musically. But always did a great job, though they did a great job bringing the darkness of winter and filling nature's seasonal circular cycle of life. I kind of wrote that weird. You greening out yet? Because I would rather be.
Listen, for a song about green, which emulates images of lightness in my mind, there's a lot of darkness here. And even though I'm not like over the moon with the song, I appreciate the balance that they proceeded with in here, and the effort's entirely there. So a lot of these I say are just kind of like personal choices, but you can't mistake the effort that they were making.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Track 6. Red Water, Christmas Morning. I like the placement of this song on the album solely because the last song ended with the death of winter, and this one begins on Christmas morning, and everything is dead kind of but the narrator, it feels. Even the Christmas decorations are dead. It's got that seasonal depression sound that you'd expect from any band with goth as one of the labels for what they did. I dig the atmosphere they create with the kids crying and the broken bottles. It goes on like just way longer than it needs to, or that I would care for. I'm not a fan of the sudden ending, surprisingly, because I was just wishing it would end. So I mean, it was satisfying, but it was like, man, that could have happened way sooner. So I say this, Frank, ho ho ho.
Oh, hoeing all the way, my man. Yeah, our attention spans are definitely challenged with a record like this. And you know what? Game on. Let's take on the challenge and let's make it Double Dare style. I do like how it picks up with Christmas Morning with Steele. When Steele is singing, though, the funny part is the stockings were hung. I almost thought he was going to blend it with 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I was thinking he was going to go right into that for like a minute. I noticed that there isn't much in the way of tempo change on the song and the others, just an observation for the writing and the composition.
It's like they had a
style.
robot playing their drums or something.
Absolutely. Steady all the way. And then they just move from song to song.
That's right.
Like you, the sun stopped. I wish it didn't occur. But overall, I did like the song.
Cool. Track 7, My Girlfriend's Girlfriend. The joys of threesomes here, Frank. This song reminds me of my days working security at fetish parties. They didn't play this song, or I didn't recognize it if they did. This track pulls away from the overall feeling of the album so far, which is kind of a bummer. I like that it was all kind of a cohesive theme, but we're getting a little bit of separation, and I guess that's just bound to happen. Excuse me. I do like that it was a much shorter track, a little more rock nature to it. The overtures or whatever it is we've been getting up until now. So for whatever it is, I kind of like it, but it's kind of weird. It kind of makes me uncomfortable. Frank, does My Girlfriend's Girlfriend do anything for you?
Oh, they sure do. And listen, I sure as hell remember those fetish parties that used to work. So
he never went to a single one, folks.
I didn't, did I?
No, it's all right. You're for the better.
Okay.
But I told you a lot of stories. So
yeah,
it's like he was there.
Yes, I was. Yeah. You did, and yeah, it's like I was there. So the beginning totally actually hooked me in, and then Steele does the intentional and almost unnatural baritone voicing, which loses me. I'm sorry. The rolling of the words doesn't help the case. I really feel that this could have been a standout song if Steele sang it the way he did on the beginning portion of the album, because to me, it actually had all the elements, especially in the beginning. I was definitely bobbing my head. I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's
get getting a little bit of the metal that we were promised. Track 8, Die With Me. This one opens with the sound of an airport and an acoustic guitar. Steele gives us his best Transylvanian lament over a girl leaving at the airport. Maybe it's his girlfriend's girlfriend or just his girlfriend, but I can't be sure. The band does a great job. I'm not just blowing the doors off as they come in, rather just building and building around Peter's voice, like the rising tide, creating a dark but beautiful opus in parts. The odd name dropping of JFK, KLM, AT&T do blend into Steele's vocal delivery, and if you're not really paying attention, they mostly go unnoticed. However, if you're, I don't know, doing a podcast about it and reading along, they feel pretty fucking silly. Frank, which one of these arms are you dying with me in?
Oh man, all of them, of course. But listen, this has been probably the most 90s feeling song for me.
Oh yeah.
So many different pieces of the song, from the acoustic nature to chugging guitars, including the solo. I actually prefer Steele's voice like this, as you're able to hear, to me, more subtle desperation. And I like that. I like it because it's so deep, it's so dark. And then to hear, again, that desperation just adds another element to me. So I like his vocal performance on this song for sure.
For sure. Excellent. So track 9, Burnt Flowers Fallen. It's a terrible title. What's that? The Sound of Goats? No way this is gonna suck, right?
It's goats. I mean,
once the actual track gets going, we get this acoustic strumming and a bit of a bongos esque. I don't really know what they were trying to do there.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that part out either.
Into like kind of a distorted riff, and Steele coming in with I kind of love some of these lyrics, so I went ahead and wrote them down. Yeah, I think she's fallen out of love. Yeah, and lyrically that repeats like a bunch. He does add the word God to it, along with some woes and some O's, and then he goes into how she burnt all of the flowers he gave her. You probably got that from the title. Back to the tide analogy, though, the song rises and falls back and forth for the better part of 6 minutes.
Woo!
I bet you felt every second of those 6 minutes. So what do you do to make it through?
Oh man, Yeah, I really appreciate the opening verses with the guitar, with what I would
Mhm,
assume to be like a phaser pedal.
mhm.
I do enjoy the variety that this song brings, even though, again, there's a steady pace nature. It's a little more upbeat. There has a little bit more upbeat tone to it. So to answer your question, yeah, damn right. I felt every minute of this song, and then some with this tune. It took me a few times actually to get through it, but Mark, whew, I did it, pal.
I'm so proud of you, buddy. You know what we should do? Track 10, In Praise of Bacchus.
Oh, Bacchus.
Yeah, Brooklyn in the house here. Old
What?
Red Hook Road. Look,
Oh yeah.
real talk. I'm impressed with the drum machine right here.
Whoa,
They
hey,
killed
hey.
the changes, and it gives way more depth than you would expect out of a programmed drum machine, especially up to this point. As you've heard me and Frank say, that drum machine has been on set it and forget it. So the fact that they played with it here, I'm open. Lyrically, I'm not sure what the fuck is actually going on in this song. It sounds like Peter Steele was just kind of walking around Brooklyn, writing down things he saw and putting them in the songs. And then he was like, I'm gonna hop on this train. And he tried to finish doing that, but maybe the train was going too fast. I don't know. So he went back to whatever the beginning of this song is about. Bacchus was a Roman god of agriculture, wine, and fertility,
Oh, a lot of stuff.
provided you believe in the Roman gods. So this song probably has something to do with a combination of those three things, or maybe just one, but I don't know. I do know that the chick fucking hates him, which is just kind of all the song's about. How do you feel about him at this point? You hate him too, or you just me for making you listen to this album?
Oh man, I wouldn't say that I hate Steele, but without a doubt, I feel like he knows he's got a niche and a certain way of
Mhm.
doing things, and he exploits that, I think, to his advantage. And I listen, I guess you can't blame him. He's doing what works, but sometimes it does get a bit much. I'm sure you could pull up like have our episodes where I say, oh, the pace of the songs are the same and the variety. This was a breaking point for me as this record has without a doubt it's challenged and confirmed my stance about the pace about pacing of songs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Track 11, Cinnamon Girl.
A little
Uh,
cinnamon.
it's cover time, Frank. You are the resident Neil Young head amongst us. How'd they do with this very industrial sounding cover?
Yeah, there's a lot of Young out there that I'm unfamiliar with. However, they did a commendable job here with this classic song and transformed it into a mid 90s industrial goth rock tune. It was a nice addition to the record. I'm not sure though it's needed. I'll take it. I'm saying it's taken. I'll take
For
it.
sure.
But I don't even know if it's needed. But
Speaking of tracks that weren't needed, track 12, bear with me while I get the title out. The Glorious Liberation of the People's Technocratic Republic of Vinland by the combined forces of the United Territories of Europa.
God bless you, Mark. God bless
At
you.
1 minute and 6 seconds, the sound of jets screaming passed overhead and Peter Steele coming, excuse me, I mean, he probably
Wait a
was
minute.
counting to 5 in German. I'm willing to bet that this was your favorite song, isn't it, Frank?
Love you, man. You called it. This was my favorite. This is a constant repeat, and I'm elated that we're at the point of the album where we get to a minute-long song. So yeah.
Fuck yes. All right, track 13, Wolf Moon, including Zonotropic Paranoia. I probably said that wrong, but you know what?
Sounded good to me, man.
Look, we can make up all the different names we want for werewolves we want. They're still made up. The opening line makes me think that this was about a woman turning into a werewolf when they get, or that women turn into werewolves when they get their periods. That's what I thought the song was about.
Oh, boy.
I could be 100% wrong, but let's face it, I never am. I like that we're getting a little bit of story here, playing into the dark kind of mythos of the genre, really playing with the idea of fantasy. I wish this came a little earlier in the album. As my interests, I mean, I am so checked out of this record. Like in terms of paying attention to it, I'll in the recap, I'll explain a little better. But I think it's kind of a cool track. Again, I'm just a little bit worn out at this point. You ever want to be a werewolf, buddy?
Yeah, man. Listen, I'll take being a werewolf, and that's mainly because that would equate to me having the hair on my head back. So, absolutely, dude. Listen, like you, I wish this came earlier, like track 3 or 4, as I feel it engaged listeners more. And I think this song, again, you could probably find a million episodes where I say this, suffers from album placement.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Track 14, Haunted.
Haunted.
The last song on the album, and we're back in that classic goth soundscape. We get more of Steele's super lusty lyrics. It's like the dude eats gothic romance novels for breakfast, and I'm not even like mad at him for it. Check these out, Frank.
Yeah.
Burning my deep with every bite, kiss, and lick. I'm haunted.
Ooh.
I'm haunted.
Ooh.
I'm haunted by her. Frank, what do you think of this love song for a missing demon from Hades?
Man, 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes for a song.
Jesus Christ, this thing's way too long.
It's just overkill. And I'm not trying to let that deter me from having the potential and ability to pick out if this is a good song or not. I'm really trying. So yes, this is a song that's a bowl of gothic cereal, just as you said, and Steele, without a doubt, eats it. And based on his physical build, I'm sure he poured almond milk on it, because
I don't think so, dude. Like back in the 90s, being that big, you're eating nothing but scrambled eggs 24/7. Or just those Rocky shakes of nothing but like raw egg.
That's true. And almond milk wasn't even like a thing.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
We hadn't found the almond titties yet. It was.
Anyway, the song, it is a proper way to end the album, even though it will haunt me with this length. Overall, though, I will say it's one of the better tunes on the album.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Now, track 15, again, no title. The band thanks us for listening and hopes it wasn't too disappointing. I mean, I wish I could have said that I wrote that as a joke, but I didn't. Let us use that to lead us into our final thoughts, Frank.
Okay. Let's do that. All right. So to no one's surprise, especially yours, this album was a hard pill for me to swallow. All right. When you unveiled this to me the last episode, I cringed inside the way that I would as a kid who would get like a suppository up my ass to bring down my temperature when I had the fever as a kid.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I was like,
I feel like you got more of those than I did.
Yes, I did. Ass jokes, and I don't know why I got them for them. If we could just talk about that for a second.
Sure. No, I'm here.
Mid 80s. I mean, I guess maybe. Anyway, ass jokes aside, I could see the attraction not only to Steele. I'm not talking about physical now,
right?
But to the band. I appreciate the effort to deliver what was a progression for the band and in what they were passionate about. There was I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and he is extremely intentional with what he was trying to do, from the band's physical appearance to the songs. These weren't just, this is the batch that came out and hey, this is the album you got. This, again, there was intent behind it. The lyrics are what you would expect. Listen, I didn't find them to be overly complicated, but they fit the mold of the niche. I do wish there was some variety and tempo changes and even more hooks to make the album memorable. Hey, listen, though, it is what it is. I also wish the guitar was more of a focal point, especially with the term metal being used to classify the band. But maybe, again, that's what the band wanted to have going on. It was a challenge, okay? And I tried my best to embrace it with an open mind. I felt I did the best to my ability. And with that said, it scored 5.5 out of 10 for me.
Wow, okay. Look, I really appreciate the craft that goes into making an album sound this kind of grand and haunting. Lyrically, I dig that Steele plays up the tropes of the previous mentioned goth romance novels and sets them to his own idea of what maybe they would sound like. This still isn't metal I'd listen to, certainly not on my own. But I will be poking around their catalog, seeing what else and some of the heavier stuff and doomier stuff they have to offer. Because look, there's a cover of Black Sabbath on the remastered edition of this thing that sounds cool as shit.
Yeah,
I thought Peter Steele's voice was so unique and powerful, hypnotic, really, that it's no wonder people flocked to the band in droves. This gets a 6.5 out of 10 from me. A healthy score considering it isn't really my thing. But it was fun to play dress up a bit. You know, and I really appreciate, like, on that kind of dress up note, their commitment to this sound and style and aesthetic was so part of who the band was and part of the mythology